Hello everybody, this is Retro Photo House, and today I would like to talk about very requested things, is how to adapt properly Helios 44-2 lens on Nikon camera. Some of you should already know that it's quite tricky thing, because in ordinary condition this lens can be focused on Nikon cameras, DSLR cameras, only up to 5 meters, I guess. And it makes really problem, because for those people who have Nikon camera, Nikon systems, it's this is very good system, and of course these people also want to use Helios, famous Helios, in proper way. So let's start. I would like to start from the fact that this is M42 to Nikon F adapter. Simple. It's not enough just to put adapter and put it on the camera. In this condition it will work only, as I told, up to 5 meters, and our aim is to make them focus on infinity, this lens. Okay, so before showing some things inside this lens, I would like to explain some basic notions of fitting camera with lens, and among them the most important notion is the notion of flange focal distance. I've already touched this theme in my previous video, but I would like to repeat. So what is the flange focal distance of the camera? It's the distance from the beginning of the mounting flange here to the sensor surface, sensor or film. Okay, every camera has its own flange focal distance, and for example the Nikon camera, it has 46.5 millimeters. All Nikon cameras with F mount has this 46.5 millimeters. Okay, and Zenit camera and the Soviet Zenit camera, it has somehow less flange focal distance of 45.5 millimeters. Okay, and as this lens is made to be used with Zenit camera as a kit, so of course it will have the same flange focal distance. So what is the flange focal distance of the lens? I will show you here on this picture. So it's the distance of mounting flange here to the surface where the image produced of this lens is completely sharp, here, when lens is focused on infinity. So, and Zenit cameras and also Helios 44-2 lens, it has this distance of 45.5 millimeters. Okay, so what will happen, and what happens when we will try to put the Helios 44-2 lens inside Nikon? We just put it together and we see that lens will produce image somehow here, sharp image, okay, when focused on infinity, and we need it to be 1 mm more deeper inside of the camera. This 1 mm makes the huge difference, and here we can do nothing because it's construction of the camera. You cannot put this lens deeper inside, okay, with the mount. And there is another problem. You should count also the thickness of the adapter. So here, flange from this position to somehow here, somewhere here, it will make a sharp image here. And if we will put adapter, the thickness of adapter, let's measure it. Yes, I don't know if you can see, but it's 0.9 millimeters. So when we put the adapter and only then the lens, it becomes even more far from the sensor surface. Totally it gives us the difference of 1.9 millimeter. And this distance we need to compensate in order this lens should be able to produce the sharp image on camera sensor here. So I think you understood the problem. Here we can do nothing because it's mounting of the lens. It's hard to do something on the camera also. So there is only one way how to do this, is to move completely, I would say proper way, because there is another way I will show you also, but it's not serious in my point of view. So we need to move optical block inside the lens 1.9 millimeters more deeper than it actually is. So of course there is some people claiming they have adapted the lens on Helios system. They just removing this rear element. And then here they put some kind of ring here. To make the rear element be 1.9 or even 2 millimeters like this, more protruding to the rear side. And it also focuses, but in this case we just making the optical schema of this lens completely different, because in optical works 2 millimeters is a huge distance, and of course it will result in quality image deterioration. So it will focus on infinity, but the quality of image will deteriorate considerably. So basically I'm explaining about this possibility, and it's quite simple to do, but I do not advise it, because you will lose quality of the image producing by this lens, and this lens is interesting for for image it's producing, for quality of the image. So our aim is to make it properly. So now I will show you two lenses and show some difference between them. So as I told you, the only way to make it work on Nikon properly is to move optical block inside the helicoid part, to make it protrude more deeply at 1.9 millimeters inside the camera. I think it's clear, and I will take this to Helios and I will show you something. If you look like this, you see the difference. This one, it's remade by me, and it focuses on infinity on Nikon camera without any problems. This one. And this one, it's ordinary Helios 44.2. So as you may see, this lens is protruding much more inside, and in this case it can focus on infinity without problems. So how to obtain this result, you may ask. I will show you, it's no problem. So, but to do this you will need some special equipment. I'm talking about turning latte, so you will be able to recraft your lens. Let's open the lens and I will show you some things. So here we have an adjusting ring. Every Helios have it. So our aim to put this optical block deeper into helicoid part, okay? To do this, for example, in my case, it was you need to consider the diameter, not diameter, but the size of the ring. In my case is 2 millimeters, and also there is very thin adjusting ring also. So altogether it gives 2.2 millimeters, okay? So to do this, you need to make a groove on the turning latte. I think you see it here. In order to be able this ring to be more deeper inside. So you just put your diameter into your machine, into your turning latte. In my case it's 34 millimeters, and the depth here of this groove I made inside is 2 millimeters here. 2.1, sorry, I just check my writings. Here is 2.1 millimeter of depth inside I made on the turning latte here, because if I example take the ordinary lens, here you see there is nothing, you just see the difference. There was no turning latte work here, and here I did it. So, and it's the first step. The next step, I will show you something. For this I need to remove this ring. So after you have done this work and you put it inside, it will penetrate more deeper into helicoid part. But there is and we will encounter another problem. It just your aperture control ring will not move because of this part is too thick, and it touch this ring, aperture control ring here. This surface will touch this one, and because of friction it will not allow this ring to move. So next step on your turning lathe, you need to cut here this surface by 0.4 millimeters to make this part, this one, is thinner as ordinary one by 0.5 millimeters, 0.4 millimeters, sorry. And the last step, you need to cut also this ring, this black ring, because even if you will cut this surface, that black ring will not allow your aperture to move properly. And this ring you just need to remove. There is 3 screws, and you just need to cut it from ordinary thickness by 1 millimeter. I cut here 1 millimeter. So all this work you need to perform using your turning lathe, otherwise it's not so possible. And after you have done all this, you just can assemble it together. As you may see now, there is no problem, it's turning without problem. And then you can just reassemble your ring, put it here as it was, it's no problem. And then you can even put your adapter, Nikon adapter, and when you will put it on the camera, it will focus on infinity, and you will able to use all the focusing range from the 0.5 meter to infinity on your Nikon system. Also, I would like to, so I have just explained you the case where is this adjusting ring has 2.2 millimeters of thickness. So normally it can vary a little bit. So, and in this case you just will need to adjust your measurement just a little bit by adding or removing few points of millimeter in that way. So it's basically it's not problem. I'm showing you the principle, and in this case it works, and it tested and it performed by me, and it works very well. So that's it. And nevertheless, if you do not have the possibility to do this work by yourself, you just can visit my eBay shop. I'm producing this, adapting these lenses to a Nikon system on permanent basis. So if you do not want to get bored with all this manipulation, you just can buy the readjusted and tested lens to use with your Nikon system, and it will really you will enjoy the great peaks of this great lens. So I hope it's quite clear because there is nothing complicated in these manipulations. You just need to move the optical block more deeply inside the camera to compensate the flange focal distance differences of two systems, and it will work. So I think it was very useful for you, and thank you for your attention. Goodbye.